All right, fellas. You know what time it is. This ain't ESPN, this is the APFA podcast. We talking all pro football every single week. Game day stories and the inside leak. From the booth to the field, from the fans to the plays. We break it all down in our own kind of way. No scripts, no suits, no fake hot takes. Just real ones talking what the game creates. We laugh, debate, tell it straight, and keep that football energy great. Welcome to the APFA. Kick your feet up, it's game day. We got story stats and a couple wild laughs. And that, did you see that kind of flash? Yeah, it's the APFA, where football meets the hangout way. So grab your drink and press play. It's the All Pro Football Association Day. Monday memes, we talk the highs, the lows, the dreams. From rookie talk to legend pride, we bring the locker room vibe worldwide. We got coaches, fans, and a mic or two, telling it real like the players do. No filters here, we say it raw. That's how we love this game we saw. It's passion, people playing loud with the voice of the football crowd. From kickoff to overtime, that's the show. If you love the game, then you already know. Welcome to the APFA. Kick your feet up, it's game day. Good friends, good ball, that's our lane. It's the All Pro Football Association train. Yeah, we're talking all pro, every play with the APFA. Let's talk football today. Yeah. It's the All Pro Football Association train. Yeah, we're talking all pro every play with the APFA. Let's talk football today. It's the All Pro Football Association train.
Hello. We are back again with another Commish chat, this time with another special guest and a good friend and mentor of mine. Y'all know who it is based on the graphic? It's Dave Barr. Welcome aboard, Captain.
Thanks for having me here tonight, Colin. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You said you liked the song, right? You were impressed with the song and the graphics.
I love it.
You're here, you're feeling the vibes, ready to talk fake football.
What else could there be?
You've been dealing with a lot of real football.
I sure have.
Right? You've been a busy man.
To say the least. Spent the fall being the offensive coordinator at Calhoun County High School and helping them get things headed back in the right direction again. And then, of course, our hometown Wahama White Falcons were making a playoff run. And when my season ended, I had the opportunity to get on the radio and be the color commentator for the White Falcons. So sadly, their season ended this past Friday night. But so, It's all fake football for me at this point.
That's good. And I'm sure there are some people that are going to be hopping in the chat. They're going to be glad to hear that. Getting the Maroons back on track.
Yeah, we've got some work to do on that, but I'm looking forward to getting it going.
Very good. Well, I'm glad you're here with me. For those who don't know, Dave Barr was an old football coach of mine in high school, and we have spent a lot of time together through the bond of fake football. And so every once in a while, we like to get together and either announce a game or do some sort of show. And it's been a while since we've been able to do that. So it's nice to be able to share a beer. I mean, we're not sharing the same beer. That'd be weird. But you've got your own and I've got mine.
I switched them a few minutes ago.
I mean, that's okay. I thought it tasted great.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be a little different than what you guys are used to with my wife. However, it seems there's still some intimacy that's going to be translated through the microphone here. So, but we need to talk about this last week. So for those who don't know, we skipped the Commish chat last week. We were hitting kind of a lull in the season and wasn't getting a whole lot of involvement. And we kind of just was upfront and honest with people about how we wanted to see more activity. So I hope we see more activity tonight so we can keep doing these things. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And we want to make sure that, that things are getting watched and that people are enjoying the content. But I'll tell you, it seems like people have been much more active in the server this last week.
That's very true. And even for me, I've been able to be more active this week as well. And it helps that I'm not driving 90 minutes one way to work every day right now and not practicing after school. So, hopefully I'll be able to be more involved as well. We have a great thing going. Our community is, that was one of the first things that impressed me was how quickly we got our numbers up and then how involved everybody was in the league. And, what I really hope to see is for all of us as an APFA community to finish this first season really strong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're doing that. If you need to answer that, I can mute. So, okay. Well, I think that we're doing that, and the activity's been good. But we have rolled out a little incentive program this week where people have been encouraged to be active in the chat to collect progression points. And wanted to know what your thoughts have been on that. Do you like the idea of this system being rolled out? I feel like it's been super effective, but I want to get another opinion on it.
Well, it generated interest, so that's the most important thing. And it's one more way to reward people for being involved in our league. So I don't think you can go wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've seen a lot more chat going on, a lot more activity, and that's a great thing to see because as far as I'm concerned, activity in a chat is directly related to the health of a Discord server.
Undoubtedly so. Yeah, undoubtedly so.
That's the way I look at it. Well, we need to talk about Week 7 heading into Week 8. And what I can summarize from what I'm seeing is that anyone in this league can win week to week.
Yeah, I just wish we were winning more often than we have. We've had two, for Pottsville, speaking of us specifically, we've had two quality wins. Mm-hmm. Munich pounded the daylights out of Pungo last week. We beat them on a last-second field goal early in the year, and then we knocked off Pungo. We were the first team to go do that.
Yep.
And they're reeling right now. And, of course, we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But you just never know. You never know how these games are going to turn out. And I think that's because your all's plan as a group of commissioners to try to even out the rosters, especially at first, has been really mostly successful.
Yeah, I mean, we all could agree at the beginning we saw Pungo as a huge favorite, and now maybe that's kind of fleeting. But like you said, your team has beaten the top two teams in the league right now. Undoubtedly, the top two teams you guys have wins against. However, you go from beating Pungo to losing to a team who had not won a game.
with no wins.
Right. But then that team comes with back-to-back wins that are huge.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see. I like that there's no man left out. But we are in a playoff hunt right now.
And everybody's still in the hunt. You look at those standings and, gosh, our division especially, there's a logjam at the top with three teams being 4-3, and there's 3 games to go, and we're in divisional play down the stretch. So it's one of the things I like about our schedule is that it's division heavy down the stretch, and every single one of those games is going to be really important.
Right. Well, let's talk about the games that we did see. But before we get to that, I need to talk about our very first show sponsor for the week. We've not done an unofficial sponsor. Okay, but we have one tonight, Dave. So let me tell you about Commissioner Collins' Degenerate Betting Den and Life-Ruining Parlor. Where the lines are bad, the decisions are worse, and nobody leaves proud. Though, we put out the spreads every week.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Right, and at Collins' Betting Den, we offer point spreads so questionable they should come with a warning label. Over-unders that are set by a man who hasn't slept since week 1. Lines influenced entirely by who pisses him off in the gin chat that week. And yes, our signature feature, the I swear this line made sense in my head when I made it. So I could pretend all I want that I know what's going to happen, but man, have I been wrong. So
it's a work in progress.
It is. It's going to take a while to get what do they call it? A proper sample size.
No doubt.
So,
no doubt.
But and the last thing from our sponsor, Commish Colin, Degenerate Betting Den says, we don't take real money, just your sanity, your dignity, and your will to live. That's gambling for you.
Well, the only thing really left is our virginity, and that's mostly gone for about everybody in the league, I would imagine, at this point.
Just say
So you can't even take
mostly
that.
gone for you. I didn't know what that meant. I was starting to question myself and what I knew.
It's mostly gone.
All right. Well, let's talk football here, and let's talk about the scores, and let's thank Scylla for the wonderful recap graphic that she provided for me tonight. The first game we need to talk about, and I'm going to let you express your feelings here, is Pottsville at Georgia. Final score 23-31.
Well, we've been talking about that in our locker room pretty heavily this week, thinking about what we're going to do. And, we're all encouraged about who we are and who we have on our roster, but we're frustrated with the outcome we're getting in our games. And, I want to make those CPU players on defense stay after practice and run sprints every day because, and I hate it for Drew Reilly and for Kane Vasquez because there are user players on defense and they're getting no help out of anybody else that's suiting up for the Maroons on defense. We can't tackle anybody. To quote a famous NFL coach, we suck on defense. But we are going to be highly experimental the remainder of the season.
Okay.
And we'll see how that goes.
Okay. I'm excited to see how that shakes out. I will say that there has been a player who has really emerged as a top target on your team, and that is tight end Steezy. Now, he talks a big talk, but he's walking the walk as far as I'm concerned.
He has. He's really stepped up. He's probably, arguably, one of the one or two most active people in the server. And then, he's also, one of the things I really love about him is the content that he writes is entertaining, hilarious, insane. It's awesome, and I look forward to the things that he has to write every week. And so, he's a big part of what we're trying to become. I don't know how he's getting the targets he's getting. I mean,
it's not by design.
It's not necessarily by design. We have some plays in the book for the tight end, but it's one of those things with APF 2K8 that just makes you shake your head. You and I have talked at length about how the AI picks what it picks.
Yeah.
For years, dating back into our WFA days. And right now I'm really happy for him. He's putting up big numbers and having a good year. I'm equally frustrated for our good buddy Goat in our locker room because he's very active, and we can't find a way to get him the ball right now. So it's really frustrating for me.
Well, Steezy is finding a way to get the ball week to week, again with a 100-plus receiving yard game. He had 137. And I believe a touchdown as well. But the real shining star and player of the game was, once again, quarterback for the Georgia Demons, John Borriello, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But he has had pretty much two back-to-back perfect games as far as QBR goes. Have you ever seen a 158 QBR?
I was trying to think back to even in our time in the WFA, and there were some owners in that league that had a really good grasp of building playbooks. And, of course, we had a wider variety of different kinds of builds. And I don't remember anybody ever putting up a 158.
Let alone pretty much in back-to-back weeks. He had another high
done it
QBR.
twice now.
It's pretty impressive. He was 24 for 26 for 345 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean – It's as close to being perfect as you can get. I know the NFL QBR 158's supposedly their max, and he's hit it 2 weeks in a row. I would imagine this game is designed to score it, about the same as what the NFL was at that time. It's a credit to what Luke has done with his game plan.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row now, and he's really gotten the game figured out. And I think so much of this, and you can speak to this too, is finding the plays within the game that fit the people that you have, and then keeping your playbook small enough that you just run the crap out of those plays.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, they're figuring it out, and John Borriello is proving himself to be a top contender for the All-Star game, I believe. But his favorite targets last week were Clayton and Wells, both of which had over 140 yards receiving. So big game for the Demons. Let's talk about London at Hampton Roads. That game finished up 17-27. Did you get a chance to watch any highlights of that game?
I only just saw a clip or two out of it. I was honestly, I don't know if surprised is the right word, but the way that London looked in our first game, I thought, wow, they're going to be, a tough out the entire year. And of course, I think it just speaks again to the balance of rosters in our league. They're 4-3 right now, and they played flawless early on, and they've had their struggles at different times too. So we'll see. It's going to be fun down the stretch of this thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a lot of surprises as far as where we're seeing these teams fall mid-season compared to where they started. But again, that happens all the time. You see that in the professional leagues as well. You see teams that start off really hot, and then next thing you know, you turn and look, and they're 500.
Yeah, and you just never know. It's a finicky game. APF 2K8 is, and we're all trying to figure out how to put playbooks together the best way we can. A challenge, I've talked about this quite a bit this year too, is it's a different dynamic in this league because we have a much greater ratio of user activity on our rosters. Mm-hmm. So now we have the part of trying to keep the ball spread around to people. Uh-huh. So it's been a challenge in that regard too. My WFA team that won the last championship at that league only had maybe 3 or 4 users on the entire roster.
Yeah.
And it was just different in that regard. Didn't have to worry about so much, free agency the next year and that sort of thing. And it's going to be a challenge for all of us headed into the off season this year.
Yep. And that's what makes it exciting is it puts it adds another layer of strategy, which I think everyone appreciates. The more strategy, the better, because some folks may lean better on locker room culture as far as gathering, talent. And then others may be good with the playbook, but have an issue with locker room culture or feeding the ball to those who want to be fed the ball. Mm-hmm. So it does kind of even the playing fields as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think if you had asked most users if they could choose where they would want to go play, the reputation that TPAT had with playbooks, which is of legendary status. Mm-hmm. I've spent much time talking to other people in other leagues about him, and I would bet that just by reputation, most people would have said, well, I want to go be part of that deal in Pungo.
Yep.
And certainly for the first few weeks of the season, he lived up to that. Now, yeah. I don't know whether the team plane flew through the Bermuda Triangle or what has happened here in the last 3 weeks. And, of course, that's, maybe we'll come back to haunt me when they come to Pottsville during week 10.
They'll be real mad by then.
They'll be good and pissed off by then. But it's been something.
Yep. Well, let's talk about that game. They lost by their biggest loss of the season so far by 30 points in Germany. So what do you think of what happened there?
I have to admit I was surprised. As you and I were talking about before we started the show, we beat Munich on a last-second field goal early in the year. And, of course, our game with Pungo went clear to the buzzer. Mm-hmm. A turnover in our territory was the difference in the game. And so I thought, well, Munich and Pungo probably will be the very best game of the week. And 44-14. I mean,
it was not what I expected, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So I went in with opposite expectations, but obviously going to try to do my best. And Munich has proven themselves to really get themselves in a good lane and showing consistent production. We do want to shout out player of the game for Munich is wide receiver 3, Victor Washington. Had a hell of a game, and he's a user player.
Yeah.
So, we've got the Pierce duo at receiver 1 and 2. We have Victor Washington at wide receiver number 3, but he is playing better in that slot than the other 2 receivers. He had 9 catches for 178 yards.
if somebody out there who has experience in the game can explain this to me in a way that makes any kind of sense, I'm all ears, because we're having that discussion right now in Pottsville. Like our buddy Goat is our most active wide receiver. And so, it was fair. It was a fair request. He should be our WR1. And I did that knowing full well that I've been told by people that a lot of times the WR2 gets better looks. Mm-hmm. And here we have an example of the WR3 being the player of the game.
Yep.
I can't explain that.
Well, I think it's a matchup thing when you're playing man-on-man defense more than anything. But you don't get a lot of man-on-man defense, I don't believe, in this league. But I mean, he also has the deep threat animation, so I would assume that would draw more attention to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's strange, but he is consistently performing. He's a great wide receiver, and always doing his check-ins. Great user player. But Munich continuing their win streak. They are now 5 wins in a row. They lost their first 2. Now 5 wins in a row. Officially the longest win streak for the APFA.
The hottest team in the league right now.
Hottest team in the league.
You know who I'm really happy for with that is Top.
Yeah.
That he's had some struggles this year with health and different things, and so I'm really happy for him that he's getting a chance to feel some success with his ball club.
Yep, for sure. Shout out to Top. We love Top. Last game on the Week 7 slate was DC at Appalachia. That score ended 26-29 in favor of the Outlaws. The game started off a little rocky. We had a little bit of a home field advantage swap on accident, so we had to pause the game and restart it. Because if the game would have proceeded as originally played, the Outlaws would have been the away team for the 6th time this season out of 7 games. So.
Yeah, and that's you and I have talked about that too. That when we set the schedule next year, one of the parameters on the AI when we do that needs to be that nobody has more than 2 away games in a row.
Yeah,
and that'll be an easy thing. It's uncanny how. As with everything in our lives right now, AI can get it done. So it'll be an easy request, and it'll crank out a schedule, and we'll be better fit to that sort of thing.
Yep. But Appalachia glad to be playing at home. Quarterback Chris Middlebrooks, player of the game, with almost 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. His top 2 receivers were Davis and Gasca, both with over 130 yards. But DC Tribes. I read that wrong. Yeah, DC had wide receiver Davis and Gasca with 130 yards, but Rob Hunt had nearly 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's really what gave the Outlaws the advantage. And I want you to tell me your best theory for why Appalachia is so hot right now.
Well, you could argue that one of the weeks they benefited from playing the league's very worst and crappiest defense in the Pottsville Maroons, and that certainly didn't hurt them any. But then they turned around with a pretty good performance. I think DC is solid.
Yeah,
their leadership and what they've got going on there is pretty good.
Yep.
So
that was a good win for them.
Yeah, I feel like they seem better organized in their playbook than maybe they were early in the year. Maybe they're starting to get some things figured out too.
Okay. Well, it was a great week 7. Let's go ahead and talk about the owner of the Outlaws here in our ownership spotlight. We are going to be talking about owner James Klein. A little bit about him. Has a deep history in simulated football leagues of all kinds, especially those involving APF. But James chose this team to be in Boone, North Carolina. You familiar?
That's in Western Carolina, right?
I really don't know.
I think it is. And I went there a year ago over my Thanksgiving break to help with hurricane recovery in that area. And, man, that Western Carolina and West Virginians, we're cousins.
Yep.
Yeah, It's a special bunch of people down there.
Literally.
We probably are. Yeah. We're connected by Interstate 77 is what that really amounts to. And I loved it down there. Hated when the weekend and I had to come home. I didn't like it. I wanted to stay there and help people. And so I can understand why he would want to place a team there. That's a great area.
Yep. So you might wonder why he chose the branding that he chose. Well, he says that it was inspired by his deceased father-in-law, who anytime they played fantasy football would be the Gray Wolves.
Makes sense. I thought you were going to tell me some story about moonshine. No. But that's a whole lot more heartfelt sentiment.
It is.
So I almost feel guilty about thinking that, going down that road.
I don't think he would be. I don't think he would feel that way. But ask him what his play style is. He's going to call it Air Mac from his head coach, Super Mac. Okay,
All right.
He's been running the offense.
Yeah.
So they like to air the ball out, obviously, based on the stats they've been putting up. But play style is Air Mac. You might wonder, why is there a logo of the Outlaws next to the rival section on this little graphic here?
He hates himself?
That's because I asked him who his biggest rival was, and right now he said, we are the only team in our way right now.
Wow. That's some confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only team that can stop us is us.
So I liked that answer. Now, this happened, I got this from him about 2 weeks ago in preparation for last week. So a lot has happened since this conversation.
Yeah.
But I still left this in here because I really liked that answer.
I like it too.
I liked that answer a lot. What's his weakness, you might ask? His time. He's a busy man, quite similar to you. He coaches, he teaches. He's a busy man, especially right now. I think he said he is coaching a soccer team that's in the playoffs currently.
When I looked at his picture on the spotlight there, I thought, man, that looks like a yearbook picture. I wonder if he's a teacher.
He is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. So right now his biggest weakness is the ability, the amount of time that he has to put into this. He mentioned that he just has a soft spot for the game, for 2K8. That's his favorite part about this league. Feels like it's just a real good program to run the games on. He feels like it's the most realistic. But we are super glad to have James Klein in our ownership group. It's been a pleasure to get to know him. And I think he adds a lot to the league as far as competitiveness goes and ideas. And I just think he's a real solid owner.
Yep, I think so too.
So that is Mr. Klein. I think he's in the chat. Yeah, he is. Shout out to James in the chat. All right, Dave, you have not seen the power rankings yet, have you?
I've not.
Are you ready? I want your initial impression.
I can't wait.
1, 2, 3. It's a lot of change there.
Yep, and yeah, makes sense.
There's a lot of change there.
There's a lot of change.
And of course, Pottsville right now is at the bottom. And that's no jab, but from what I've been told and from what I understand in power rankings, it's not really based on total performance for the year, but more of the momentum the teams are currently carrying.
Yeah, and we spent much time talking about defense this last week, as I mentioned earlier, in our locker room, and we're going to be doing some things just to try to generate some stops. I think the punters that played us the last 2 weeks, they're probably bored. I mean, when you go to an APF game and you're the punter and you don't get to punt, I bet the only thing left for you is look at those stupid cheerleaders that the game has in the background, and they don't really do much, So it's pretty boring for opposing punters right now, and we've got to do some things to get them more involved in the game.
That's funny you're mentioning that in the game. I almost forgot. Allie wanted me to mention something that she's noticed in the game. We need to talk about these power rankings, but I'm going to forget about this, and I need to say it. Allie thinks it is so funny when you look at the referees' pants. She said they all look like they're wearing giant diapers. So next time you're watching a stream and you see the ref come out to look at his challenge replay, take a look at his butt and see if you feel like he's got some Pampers on.
That almost feels like we're going to be violating a computer referee.
So, anyways, Pottsville and London both losing momentum the last couple weeks and losing it fast. as well as Pungo. They've dropped significantly in the rankings this week. Teams that are on the rise, obviously the Outlaws and the Metalheads taking the number 1 spot, but the biggest jump and the biggest improvement from the Georgia Demons, proving themselves to be more than just a flash in the pan. I've not been giving them credit because I have been expecting them to drop the ball, and they're not.
They're really hot right now.
They are.
And I like who he puts on the field and what he does with them. He and I have been talking a lot, just trying to share ideas, and he's impressive in terms of his knowledge of the game.
Yep.
So I think his team has benefited from that.
I agree. So one thing that I would like to ask you while I have you here this week, playoffs in 3 weeks. Okay, we are looking here on this piece of paper in front of us, the overall records for both the National and the United Conference. And what I would like to hear from you is your prediction for the top 2 or the top seed for each conference, and then your 2 that you think do not make the playoffs and your reasoning why.
All right. Well, I think that probably somewhere in a laboratory somewhere, TPAT is working furiously to try to get things righted there in Pungo. So I'm going to go. It's an easy pick to say that I think he comes out of that national division and wins that one. Someone proved me wrong, but I think he's going to be a tough out down the stretch. Munich is playing about as well as anybody in the league right now. So I sort of don't see those two getting away from the top spot. Now, as far as who doesn't make it, that's going to be hard to do. I think we're going to get it together and get in.
Let's go ahead and look at your next 3 games and talk through that. You play at home this week against the Neptunes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your week 9 game is in DC. And then your last game of the season is home against Pungo.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be, we were the first team to beat them. So I would imagine there'll be a little bit of rivalry involved in there. But I also know that one of the things I like about our locker room is our guys don't back down from anybody under any circumstances. So those 3 games, I think we're at least 2 out of 3 on those. And, maybe I'll be proven wrong on that, but I'm feeling pretty good about the things we've talked about defensively, and we got some changes coming with that. So I'm excited to see what we're able to do down the stretch. So I guess if I have to pick somebody to not make it, I'm going to have to pick out of it could be 2 out of the same division.
Correct.
It's the bottom 2 record-wise that don't make it.
Yep.
So I'm going to pick Hampton Roads and Appalachia.
Okay.
But it's going to be tough down the stretch for everybody. Mm-hmm. I said to you, I don't know if you remember this comment or not, but I jokingly said to you, you better have a good tiebreaker system set up for when we all finish 5-5.
We're not that far off.
We're not.
We're not. So, okay, I appreciate that input and that insight. I don't think you're far off. I think that it's anybody's game. Still, we've ran the numbers and we found that everyone's still alive for playoffs. It's not been decided yet. Now there could be some decision making that happens this next week, but I think these teams are taking it week by week right now. And but it's exciting that we're heading into week 8 and nobody's knocked out of the playoffs. That tells me that there is that the competitive level is there.
I had this conversation with the kids over there at Calhoun County that when we got that 3rd win, I said to them, we are really in the playoffs right now, meaning that every single game is really important. And I think you could say that about any of us in this league right now, that the playoff bracket isn't filled up yet, but there is playoff mentality every single week
Yep.
in this league.
Yep. I like it. Well, let's talk about these Week 8 games here, and let's go ahead and throw our pretty faces on who we like. So, tell me if you're not super familiar with the spread lines and what those mean. I can explain those to you. But the first one's easy. All right, so we've got DC at Pungo, and that's an even line, which means it's a total 50-50. Okay, so you're just picking
we're just
straight
playing
up
the game
winner.
at this point. Yeah, I'm not much of a gambler. I think I'd like to go with you to watch you gamble sometime. But probably the entertainment for me would be what's on the seafood buffet or something.
There
at the
you go.
casino. I'm gonna stick with what I made a comment about there earlier. I just think that Pungo's about to get it going, and so I'm going to pick them in this game that's even up with DC.
I think Pungo is tired of losing 3 games in a row. I think they get it together. I'm with you as well. However, you can see here on this graphic, I took the screenshot before the show here, heavily favored that DC is going to win this game as far as the community is concerned.
I just can't get my head around the idea of Pungo losing 4 in a row.
Right. It's wild. So, all right, we're both in agreement. Let's talk about your game. Okay, you are hosting the Neptunes. What this line right here means is that the Neptunes are expected to beat you by 3.5 points. Okay? So, if you vote for yourself, you are voting that you do not lose by more than 3.5 points, or you win.
Yeah.
So you either win or don't lose by 3.5 points.
We're at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to win the game, is what I think is going to happen.
Okay. So you are, I would expect that from you. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I am nervous about whatever this mix-up that you're talking about is going to happen with the Pottsville playbook.
It's going to. Now listen, it can't be any worse than it's been the last 2 weeks for us defensively.
I worry about experimentation in Week 8. So, because of that, I'm going to put my money with the Neptunes.
That's fair. It's a fair assessment.
So the league pretty split, 6 votes to 9 votes, but the league right now is in favor of you. So, all right, your next game, London at the Appalachian Outlaws. That plus 5.5 means that that London is not expected to win, but they're expected to not lose by more than 5.5.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. Well, let's see. We've got London, who is 4-3, and Appalachia, who is 2-5, but they're hot right now. I'm gonna stick with a little bit of a theme here. I'm gonna go with the home team, and I'm gonna pick Appalachia to get their 3rd in a row.
Yep, I totally agree. I think Appalachia keeps it rolling. I think the fans in Boone, North Carolina have been craving some home games, and now they're getting them. And I think London's in a rut.
Well, they're going to fly across the pond. Those guys are going to be liquored up when they get into Appalachia. And James has access to some moonshine down there. I'm going to imagine that they'll probably change out the bottled water in the hotels with moonshine and keep those guys drunk. So I think that's going to be the secret sauce for this week.
Highly encouraged. Tampering is highly encouraged by the APFA. All right, and the last game, Munich in Georgia. Georgia is the underdog as the home team for here. So Munich is favored by 3.5 points.
Man, this is hard for me. I got to tell you that I think the spread should be closer than that. Based on the way the two teams have played. They're arguably the 2 hottest teams in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Munich has won 5 in a row, and I think the magic stops this week.
Okay.
So I'm going with the Georgia Demons.
I like it. Well, I'm going to have to stick with my Munich Metalheads. We're looking at more than a field goal for this line to cash. So, but I have full faith in Victor Washington and the rest of the team. And we're going to keep this win train going for Top Kiefer. So.
Well, if he gets 6 in a row, he's going to be a happy man. Sorry about that.
Is it your bedtime football?
You know what? I just turned 60 this fall, so it is a struggle to get past about 8:30.
Well, we better wrap this up. But that's what we have as far as content tonight. We wanted to go over week 7 and also talk about week 8 and a couple of our usual segments. We talked about the rewards system test run that we're going through right now. I do need to mention the all-star voting. Make sure you get into those documents and place your votes for the all-star games. It's really nice of Luke to be able to take that on his own and organize the teams and get the file set up for that. That's a lot of work.
You know, there's an old saying in West Virginia politics: vote early and vote often. And so get those votes in, guys. It's going to be an important thing for a lot of guys looking to get recognized.
Yeah. So, exactly. It's a good opportunity for us to put the best of the best out there and watch a game that is full of user players. Right now we've got about, 5 on one side of the ball versus the other. And now we're going to be looking at a full squad full of user players. That's an exciting thing. So,
do we have enough in the league to fill out a defense?
On defense, I don't know. I'm sure we do.
We probably do.
I'm sure.
I was looking at those today, plotting my free agency strategy, and there's some interesting builds out there.
Yeah. So, well, Dave, I'm glad you stopped by. I don't have anything else for you. I'd like for you to come back again sometime.
I'll be happy to do that.
We'll have some exciting maybe awards to give out at some point down the road.
We do need to come up with a few.
So
indeed.
I think we could plan something real good. But we'll talk about that later. But do you have anything else for the community before we sign off tonight?
Just that, just re-emphasizing the idea that we're 3 weeks away from the playoffs, and I would like to see this first season end as strong across the board as it began. So I just encourage people to stay, involved in the server and to watch the games, and definitely to tune in to this podcast, because you're doing a great job, and it's always a lot of fun.
Good deal. Well, I appreciate you being here. We'll do it again sometime. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. Keep the activity up, and let's enjoy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Dave.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So this is Colin and Dave signing off, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we chillin', kicking back, talking all pro plays. From the field to the mic, we got stories for days. Grab a seat, grab a drink, it's the time again. Welcome to the show, where the talk never ends. It's the APFA, we just talking ball. Stats, plays, and the rise and fall. From the big hits to the locker room calls, we break it all down, yeah, we cover it all. No suits, no ties, just friends and mics. Talking game day legends and those Friday nights. From the rookies to the vets, every yard, every line. We keep it real every single time. Yeah, turn the volume up, feel the vibe in your zone. We're laughing, debating, but it feels like home. From kickoff to overtime, that's the way it's the All-Pro fam, and we here to stay.